came out to harvest some chard for my dinner, but I wanted to talk about the ways I save time and effort in my garden. Hello from Illinois and welcome to Planting Joy Gardens. One of my biggest time and effort savers in the garden is to cover my plants. It protects them from insects and it protects them from wind damage. So we're going to uncover some chard, do some harvesting, and talk about all the things I do in my garden to save time and effort. Summer can be a very busy time in the garden. There's planting plants out, there's harvesting, there's managing pests, staying on top of your water. There are so many things to think about. So providing row covers and insect netting can help to save time on the inspection of your leaves by keeping the insects off your plant. This helps to ensure that you get a bigger harvest. It saves hours of inspection time, and you will have to continue to inspect your plants, but you won't have to come out every single day looking for insects. Maybe come out once a week or do a quick visual inspection, a spot check in just certain areas. So as I'm harvesting, we're going to discuss some things we can do in the garden to save time and effort. And I think number one on that list is using insect cover or some kind of row cover to protect your plants from pests. So as I'm harvesting, I'm actually looking for insects and I'm checking for some powdery mildew. Now let's go on to the next topic. After harvesting, I make sure I fertilize my plants to give them energy to produce more leaves for me. I also make sure that I water it extremely well. And in regards to the topic of watering, let's take a look at my onions in this bed here. Watering is so critical, and the best thing you can do to save time and effort is to set up automatic drip. And I have drip going to all of my raised beds and to some of my critical containers. Making sure you have adequate watering is the best thing you can do for your garden and one of the biggest time savers. Watering a garden can take quite a bit of time. So we'll just take a quick look at some of the things and some of my setup. So this bed I'm doing alliums and I have drip dialed in. My drip is specific to what I'm growing and is fully adjustable so that from bed to bed or even from plant to plant, I can adjust the volume and the speed of watering. And in the beds where I do not have drip, as in this herb bed here, I am making use of Oyas. So this herb bed, all of the plants really like dry conditions, the exception being my celery. So I have provided a Oya so that the celery can truly wrap its roots around its own individual water source. Now this is a DIY. It is basically a clay or terracotta flower pot with no hole and a plastic lid. I use yogurt lids. So a drip system, and if you add automatic watering or programmable watering, it really is a time saver and a no-brainer. Even if you're traveling or you need help in the garden, there's someone who can simply turn the water on or just make sure the water is running and let the system do all the work. Drip is quite the time saver for me. I can essentially water 4 of my vertical green stalk towers at the same time, yet they're individualized according to what each tower needs. So I have these adjustable dials, these little blue caps here that will allow me to adjust the flow and rate of the water so that my 3-tier does not get the same as my 5-tier leaf tower. I can adjust my leafy greens, as in this Swiss chard here is sitting in the sun, is 100% leafy greens. It needs far more water than say my onion and strawberry tower that gets a little bit more shade. And this tower has 4 tiers but requires less water than a 3-tier leaf tower. The next thing I like to do to save time and effort is to establish structure and support in the garden. So I have my arch trellises in place before planting, and I decide ahead of time what's going to actually grow on my trellis. So for now, I have an indeterminate tomato. It's growing up the trellis. I put the clips in place ahead of time. So as my tomato grows up, I simply grab a clip and help it to stand on the trellis. Now, another way that I save time and effort in my garden is to establish structure and support of my plants before I plant a single seed or place out a single transplant. So here I have my post support for my peppers. And even in the smallest state, as soon as I transplant, I put in a support pole. And these posts will support my peppers. They can support them up to 4 feet in height. Even with this Marconi pepper here, I planted it when the pepper was very small, and as it grows up, I simply move the clip up the pole for a maximum height of 4 feet, which is about the general height of my giant Marconi peppers. Now I even have arch trellises in place, and they're here year round, and it helps me support my big vining plants. And so with this trellis, I do have pole beans growing up, but I can actually plant cucumbers, cantaloupes, anything that vines I can place on my arch trellis, knowing that it can go up 7 feet and then go over another 6 feet. So it has infinite potential to climb, and I plan on using every inch of this trellis. I also have pole beans growing on the other side of the arch here, and what I've done is I put in arch supports here just to kind of hold the potatoes back. I knew at the time of planting that the potatoes will shield out this area. So I planned ahead and I put in support. So let me show you a little closer what's going on here. So here, you can see here where I have the arch support, just kind of holding the leaves up and out of the pathway, also helping to make sure that the potato tubers stay shielded from the sun. So I did put these in all the way around, so it's on all 4 sides of this round bed. Okay, let me take you to the other side. Same thing on this other side. The arch supports are here, and it's basically just a hoop, a flexible, adjustable hoop that I'm using to hold up my potatoes. And one last suggestion to save time and effort in the garden, and that has to do with weeding. So what I did is I put in a buffer zone between my mulch and my lawn. So I put in a little patch of artificial turf, and over the last 2 years I found that this has saved me hours of weeding. This is an area I don't even worry about anymore. It gives me a good 24-inch buffer between my grass and my actual mulch. And even with mowing or weed whacking, those weed seeds are not germinating on that turf. I even took it a little bit further and established some artificial turf zone or buffer zone around my green stalks. Now, this turf is laying on my patio, but it is a paver patio, and I get so many weeds in the cracks of the paver, and those weeds can grow 2 feet tall a week if you're not on top of it. So by putting turf here, I have a clean area. I don't have to use a weed whacker. I don't have to use any chemicals, and it just saves me so much time and effort. And as you can see, the weeds germinate in these little areas constantly. But the area where the turf is, I don't have to worry about kicking up weeds when the rest of the patio is weed whacked. And that way, the weed seeds are not being thrown into my green stalks. It just keeps a very clean growing area for me. And even when seeds do blow in, they're not germinating on this artificial turf. This turf is the same material as we bury a cloth. It's pretty much the same type of material. And so it's just been a great time saver for me. I hope these tips will help you to save time and effort in your garden as I have been able to. It has allowed me to focus in on the part of gardening I truly enjoy. That's the harvesting and the eating, and just taking time to just sit back and enjoy the growth. If anything has been helpful today, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. Have an amazing day.